Well, the deputy leader of the National Party made some encouraging remarks recently about the role of parents in sexuality education and where the school fits into it. Then she walked them back. And then she made further disturbing comments this week on the issue. She seems decisively indecisive. Let's check it out. So, National Party Deputy Leader Nicola Willis, definitely not a social conservative in any way. Just check her voting record on issues such as gender ideology, conversion therapy, radical abortion laws, euthanasia, opposing parental notification for teenage abortions. She said at a public meeting in Alexandra in June that sex education is a job for me and my husband to do with our kids based on our values and our view of the world. Now, here's the full statement. Here's how I feel about sexual education, said Nicola Willis. That's the job for me and my husband to do with our kids based on our values and our view of the world. I want my education system focused on teaching my children how to read, how to write, and how to do maths. Exactly. And the room applauded. And most parents around New Zealand said, finally, somebody is stating the obvious. Now, the sentiment was actually echoed just before that, after party leader Christopher Luxon told attendees at a public meeting in Canterbury, he said that those sexuality issues should be dealt with in the home and by parents and within their own family environments in the home. But then there was outrage from the left and from the media. How could anyone say such radical things? How do we get activist groups like Family Planning and Inside Out and Rainbow Youth and In Your Skin into schools if we have politicians saying radical things like leave our kids alone, stop polluting their minds with radical and extreme sexuality and gender ideology? Well, Nick Minute. Speaking to One News today, according to media reports, Nicola Willis said those comments were taken out of context and believes sex education should be taught both at home and at school. She said, I think it has to be both because parents will always have a leading role in these conversations. The school also has an important role to play in ensuring students are well informed and get age-appropriate information, end quote. Well, there's the key problem. The current content in schools is not age-appropriate and it's not well informed. It's based not on biology and fact and morality, but on ideology, myth, outside activist radical groups coming into the school, hedonism and narcissism, to be blunt. But then it got worse. Nicola Willis, the Deputy Leader of National, had an interview on the platform with Sean Plunkett. Now, have a listen to her responses to Sean's questioning around gender ideology, safety in sports, safety in toilets and changing rooms. See if you can determine the exact answer. Is she decisive?
While I've got you here, there are just two other things I do want to ask questions about. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot or ask for you to be disloyal towards your leader. Winston Peters has come out most definitely on the issue of transgender women's access to women's spaces. And he says no one with a penis belongs in a women's changing room or a women's toilet. And he says no person with male genitalia who is biologically a man should play sport against a woman. It is a very, very clear, and in this politically correct time, a very, very clear statement about what can be a controversial and emotive issue. Where is the National Party on this? Where are you on this?
Well, look, on the question of sport, we've said that that is a question for the individual sporting codes to come up with their rules. And as you can see, sporting codes around the world are making some changes there lately.
Do you think they're making the right changes?
Well, I think they're making the changes that they think are needed to make their sports
So, okay, so this is, so on the
safe.
sport, you're not taking a position?
Well, I think it is up to the individual sporting codes to work out how they enforce these rules.
Yeah, and that's called not taking a position on the issue itself. But that's fine. That's fine as long as we know what that is, Nicola.
Yeah, I would just gently ask, what exactly is Winston Peters saying should happen?
He is
Is there a
saying
law that he
no
wants the government
biological
to
man
pass?
should. He's saying biological men should not compete against women in sport and women's sport. It's unambiguous.
Okay, well, we'll see how that all comes to pass.
All right. What about changing spaces?
Well, again, we think that individual institutions will make their own decisions about the way they arrange their bathrooms, whether and the rules around them.
Changing rooms at municipal swimming pools?
As I've said, individual swimming pools will make their decisions about how they enforce and require their bathrooms to be run.
All right. You're a mum. How would you feel about your daughters sharing changes spaces with biological men who cross
It has literally never happened. It's a bridge I'm yet to cross, and can I
If you
say
were
to you
having to
that,
cross that bridge, where would you be with it?
I've got this rule in politics, which is I deal with the actual events that happen in front of me and that are presented to me, and that's one that hasn't happened. So,
All right.
Oh dear. So to the people of Invercargill who are trying to push back on biological men being able to use the girls' changing room at the local swimming pool, you may not get much help from National. To the girls who are training to be the best in your chosen sport but may come up against a biological male like Deborah Ackerson, who spoke at our conference recently, did when she had to compete against Laurel Hubbard, a biological male, at the Commonwealth Games. You may not get much help from National on that. To parents who don't want your daughters sharing changing rooms or toilet areas with boys and who don't want your children exposed to radical gender and sexuality ideology in schools, targeted at children even in primary schools, or being told they can choose from 112 genders and over 200 sexualities. Yes, our young people are being told that. National's deputy leader is not running to your defence. She is decisive, isn't she? Decisively indecisive. But as I said, probably not a surprise given her voting track record. But it's important you know where our politicians stand on these issues. We need to vote for political leaders who value what we value.